Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea, and this is a very special companion video. What are companion videos? Well, my friends, I'm awfully glad that you asked. See, every day on the John Campea Show, Monday through Friday, we save time to take live questions from the audience, but we don't always have time to get around to all the live questions that get sent in. And this past weekend was a long weekend. We didn't have shows on Friday or Saturday or Sunday. I was off and away in Las Vegas with my wife and some family and friends, celebrating the holiday weekend and my mother-in-law's birthday. They just happened to coincide. My mother-in-law loves going to Las Vegas. So we had some leftover questions from Thursday's show, but also a whole ton of questions have come in since then. So what we're going to do right now is get caught up on all the leftover questions from Thursday's show. And we're going to try to cut in a little bit to some of the questions that have come in since then as well. And that's what we're going to do right now. So let's not waste any time and get right to it. And the first question we're going to start getting caught up on came in from Aviator986, who writes, I recently lost my father. I'm terribly sorry to hear that, dude. That sucks. My wife lost her father just a couple of years ago to my father-in-law, passed away. Really, really great man. I'm sorry to hear that. So it's been a tough year for me, but great and extremely convenient to have your show to watch. It definitely helps me unplug. I'm very grateful every day for what you do, John. You bring positivity to those who have none. Thank you. A little bit of a play on Phantom Menace line in there. I see. Well, first of all, Aviator, again, deepest condolences to you and your family for your loss. And again, you highlight what we talk about a lot around here, which is the power of movies and the movie fan community to be that reprieve, to be something that becomes an oasis for us. That's something that helps, refresh our minds, focus our imaginations, like just bring us up a little bit when maybe we're not just there naturally on our own. And it's an amazing thing that the power of storytelling and then interacting with other lovers of storytelling can do and be. And one of the things that I am most grateful for, just coming off of the Thanksgiving Day weekend, as a matter of fact, is the fact that we can have this community and we can be that with each other, because movies are great. But what's greater than movies is the effect movies can have and how they can, help us get through the things that we do all the time. So anyway, Aviator, again, deepest condolences to you and your family. And I'm so glad you're part of the fan community. And I'm so glad that myself and everybody else who's a part of this fan community as well can be that for you. So thanks for sending that in, man. All right. Yuri Maninin writes, happy Thanksgiving, and for 200,000 subscribers, you rock. Thank you so much. For those of you who missed it, on Thursday, we did it. We crossed the 200,000 subscriber mark. Again, I want to acknowledge that compared to actual big YouTube channels, 2,000 subscribers is nothing. I mean, it's nothing compared to like really actual big YouTube channels. We are a minnow in a giant ocean, but again, we talk about this a lot around here, is that given the fact that I've been told by everybody from reps from YouTube and that these types of shows, like I do 2.5 hour long shows every day, won't work. You got to do trailer reactions. Nothing against trailer reactions. I got a lot of respect for people who can do trailer reactions, so don't misinterpret me here. But you got to do trailer reactions, and you got to do hate title videos, and you got to do... And we don't do that. We do 2 hour videos. We do 2.5 hour videos. And the fact that we're able to do that and still get there is something I was very thankful for. And I continue to be. And now we march on towards 100 million views. So thanks for that, Yuri. Green Arrow 7 writes, some Rey criticisms are awful. Why can she do X? We never see her train. Okay, then. Why can Vito Corleone drive? We never see his driver's test. Dumb. All right. Well, okay. First of all, Green Arrow, let me mention this. Yes, I think a lot of the criticisms that we hear leveled at the Rey thing are ridiculous. A number of them, but not all of them. Like, for instance, did you know there's a species of bird where the mother bird will drop their egg in another bird's nest, and when that egg is born, that chick instinctively knows to throw all the other eggs in the nest out. They weren't trained to do that. They weren't taught to do that, but ensures that bird survives, even though it was just born 3 seconds ago. How the force works within people, and maybe it took years and years and years. Rey wasn't a child when she started to manifest her force abilities. It took many, many, many years. Now, however, without going into that whole argument again, the Vito Corleone thing is a little bit different, because the Vito Corleone thing is something that is a common shared experience there. Like most people drive. Most, not everybody, as John Schnepp didn't drive, but most people drive, but not everybody does. So it's not an exceptional thing. We don't need to go on, did you hear the story one day about how Petey learned how to drive? No. Like, that's different from, did you hear the story about how Peter became an astronaut and flew to the moon? That would be a little more significant. The difference with Rey is that she's exhibiting something that is infinitely rare in the universe, right? So while I agree a lot of the criticism is fabricated, it is at the same time much more warranted than, say, the situation with Vito Corleone. I see what you're saying, but one is a standard situation that we don't need an explanation for. One is a little bit more unique, and you can see why some people might feel the need for some sort of explanation. So anyway, a little bit of a different circumstance, but I see where you're coming from. All right, John McKinney writes, Esmeralda, Jessica Rabbit, Trudy, and Penny Proud are the hottest Disney females. God, I'm so pathetic. I remember you said something like that in earlier on Thursday's show. And listen, I mean, especially, I know I already pointed out on the previous show, the Esmeralda character. I mean, and the fact that she was so, I don't know what the best word for it, but seducing. I mean, so attractively seducing is because that actually played into one of the sub-narratives in the animated film. So that was actually kind of a necessary thing. But, and again, it reminds me of a line from the great Canadian rock band, Bare Naked Ladies. Ooh, anime babes, they make me think the wrong thing. Anyway, that's from a Bare Naked Ladies song. All right, thanks for that, John. All right, next up, Stubble McShave writes, over under 40%, Indy 5 joins the failed box office of other 80s franchises like Terminator. When do you think we'll have some news on Indy 5? Ford's not getting any younger. Well, I mean, here's the thing. I really think, Stubble, the better question is over under 40% that Indy 5 even happens. And I know they keep saying it's going to happen, but I am in a position right now of I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it. So I would actually go under 40%. Not that it's impossible, not that it absolutely won't happen, but I would take the under 40% that it's even going to happen at all. Now, if it does happen, no, it won't flop. This isn't a situation like Solo where nobody wanted a Han Solo movie without Harrison Ford, especially when we just had Harrison Ford on screen playing him. This would have Harrison Ford playing it. Now, it becomes a different question of what if they were rebooting Indiana Jones has got somebody else. That might become a different issue. But for now, I'm just sticking with the question of, is it even going to happen? And I'll take under 40% on that. Again, not saying it won't. I'm just saying I have my reservations about it right now. All right. Super Crazy Movie Geek writes, what are your thoughts / hopes / interest in Bill and Ted 3? To be honest, not much. I'm honestly one of these guys, I don't really care that they're doing Bill and Ted 3. Sorry. I mean, the first one was great. Second one, come on, not so much. And it's been way too long, and do we really need to go back there again? Well, do we need any film, really, I guess. But honestly, my thoughts, hopes / interest are pretty minimal. Not zero, but to be honest, pretty minimal at this point. All right, Yuan Fitzhugh writes, thank you for doing what you do, John. Oh, thank you so much, Yuan. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you for being here and being a part of it when we do these things. So thanks for being a part of that, man. All right, Anthony Lukalanu writes, when I need to be reminded of what's right and true in the world, I go back and watch a compilation of your old rants. That may or may not be, well, I'm very flattered, Anthony. That may not be the wisest course of action for, directing your life. But you could do worse. You could do worse. Thanks for sharing that, man. All right, Ewan Fitzy also writes, watched since I was 13 and I'm 20 now. Thanks, man, dude. I guess that makes sense because, some people write in and they say, we watched since the storage closet days at AMC and people even before that saying, I've been around since the movie blog. And I've been around since the movie blog Uncut and which goes back. And I know that's can be 6 years, 7 years, 9 years, or 10. But I guess when you put it in terms like that, you started watching when you were 13 and now you're 20. You weren't in high school yet And now you're getting ready to graduate college. So that kind of puts it a little bit in perspective. Thanks for sharing that, man. All right, Javier Riaz 405 writes, John, do you think my Cowboys have a shot? Obviously, this came in before. Do you think my Cowboys have a shot at beating the Bills? I would have said, do they have a shot? Yes. As a matter of fact, somebody, for our Patreon supporters, after the John Campea Show is done, once we're done the live broadcast, we do a thing on our Discord server, which is only for Patreon supporters. But we do this thing on our Discord server where we do a post-show chat. So me and a bunch of Patreon supporters jump in there and we just have a little post-show chat talking about different things. And actually one of our Patreon supporters asked, gave me all the spread and the lines on some weekend games. And one of them was the Dallas Bills game. And I said, I'll take the Bills to cover because I'm not, Dallas is not really impressing me this year at all. Buffalo is better than people think. I'm not saying they're Super Bowl bound, but Buffalo is better than people think. So I thought the Cowboys had a chance, but I also picked the Bills to cover, and they actually won the game outright, so kind of crazy. Zach Taylor writes, predict the future. What will be the biggest movie news of the next decade? Oh, dude, that's not prediction. That's taking wild, pull it out of your ass guesses. I think that one of the Avatar movies will be the first movie ever where you don't have to wear 3D glasses. Ooh, see now look, that's an interesting thing. Now I'm not going to speculate what's going to be the big, but you bring up something actually very interesting. See, for people who watch my show, and if with any sense of regularity, you guys know I hate 3D. I hate it. I think it's a waste. I think it's a stupid novelty. I think it's an inconvenience. I think filmmakers work their asses off to make these incredible images and colors and whatever. And the very first thing we do when we walk into a movie theater, let's slap some tinted film over our eyes. I think it's just stupid. But 3D has its fans, and I acknowledge that and I respect that. To me, I just think it's a total waste. But I would admit that I would be very curious to try experiencing 3D if I didn't have to wear the glasses. Now, I don't know how on earth you pull that off. I have no idea. I'm not sitting here. I'm the worst kind of person that pointing out a problem without trying to offer a solution. But if they were able to do that, Zach, that would be a hell of a story. Because that could change filmmaking. If you could actually do 3D without the need for glasses, so somebody just walk in the theater, sit down and watch a movie and have it done well so it doesn't feel stupid, that could revolutionize filmmaking. I mean, so that would, if that happens, Zach, you're right. That would be the probably the movie news story of the decade. Random dude from Quebec, Quebecois, writes, maybe you've talked about this, but since Palpatine is still around, is it possible to see Anakin in this movie? What do you think? We've talked about that many times, but, listen, Hayden Christensen made an appearance at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim. It was the first time since the prequels that he really kind of stepped back into the Star Wars world. And I remember at that point, with him coming back into the fold, as it were, and making that appearance, and the audience received him very warmly, a good Canadian kid, it was good to see. I started thinking, I still don't think they will, but it is possible we could see him back. With all the momentum now going into Rise of Skywalker and the promise of a lot of surprises and whatever, I still think this. I still think we won't see him back, but understanding that he could just pop up as a Force ghost or used in a flashback or whatever, there's a lot of different ways it could happen. So I'm going to still guess no, but I wouldn't put any money on that because there is the possibility, and it's a much more tangible possibility than it was just a couple of years ago. So we'll have to wait and see. All right. Casinema Reviews writes, Antis is short for anti-Raylos, people who, I get, somebody brought up a question on Thursday about people who are into Raylo, people who want to ship and see Kylo and Rey together. And then somebody mentioned the anti. I'm like, I don't know what an anti is, but you literally mean that as an antimatter, like anti. Okay, I didn't realize that. Thank you for pointing out the obvious that I should have caught the first time around, Casinema. I appreciate that. Right. Tom Weinberg writes, all this recent Snyder Cut talk, oh good, more Snyder Cut talk. All this recent Snyder Cut talk had me itching to watch Man of Steel again, so I did. I think at this point I can just recite the movie from memory, but with each viewing I keep getting more and more out of it. Just adore that film. Listen, Tom, I am with you. First of all, I loved that movie the first time I saw it. But my, I guess for lack of a better word, affection for Man of Steel has done nothing but deepen every time I see it. And I've talked to a lot of people, even a few people who weren't all that hot on the movie at first and have watched it subsequently, I should say, and they have actually, their appreciation for the movie has grown a lot. Again, I think Man of Steel, you've heard me say it a million times, is the most underrated superhero movie of all time. I think it is a brilliant superhero film. Looking at the whole, it is a masterclass in the genre, and I still, for the life of me, don't understand why it didn't get more love. I really don't. I think the movie is just freaking brilliant, but that's me. All right, thanks a lot for sharing that, man. All right, Sebastian Davis writes, I love the week-to-week release of Mandalorian. Like you've said many times, it keeps the viewers talking, unlike Stranger Things and other binge-worthy shows. Happy Thanksgiving. I am 1,000% in agreement with you, Sebastian. Look, I am like a lot of people. I like to binge. I do. I like to sit down and watch 6 episodes and then tomorrow go back and watch 8 more. I dig it. But there are so many advantages to the week-to-week release. Listen, we're all still talking about The Mandalorian a month after it's released. Well, not quite a month, but we're getting close. We're getting within a week or two of it being a month since it came out. And we're still talking about it. Because every week a new episode comes and it's building momentum. And whereas these bingeable shows like the newest, again, we've said it before, but Stranger Things season 3 drops, everybody talks about it for 72 hours and then it's done. And nobody talks about it. Nobody talked about it after like the first 3 days of its release. I remember it was really like that for, even though it was a very good season, Punisher season 2, which I thought was very good. But it came out, everybody buzzed about it for about 48 hours, and then nobody talked about it again. Everybody watched it. There's no building momentum. There's no getting caught up with it. There's no, elongated fan enjoyment. And with this, we get to really relish in it. It's building more and more momentum. As a matter of fact, I just talked to 3 people this weekend who hadn't seen Mandalorian, but because they keep hearing everybody has been talking about it for weeks and weeks, they're now getting on board with Mandalorian. That just wouldn't have happened if they just dropped all the season 1s. We would not be talking about The Mandalorian today. You may disagree, but you're incorrect. History has shown it. We wouldn't be talking about The Mandalorian today if they just dropped it all at once. So I am a binger too. I get it. But this is the way. This is the way. And I'm telling you, within the next couple of years, you're going to start seeing Netflix doing it too, because they're going to realize it's the truth as well. HBO's been doing this for a while. That's why we're seeing Watchmen building momentum, because it's a week-to-week release. Now, I know we as people are we have no patience. We want everything. We want instant gratification. I get it, because I'm like that too. I totally am. But the benefits we're seeing the benefits of this just for The Mandalorian. So it was the right move. It was absolutely, there's still some people that criticize the move for releasing a week to week. I think it has been proven. It is absolutely beyond any dispute the absolute right way to do it. The absolute right way to do it. But that's just my opinion. Other people have different opinions. That's fine. But I agree with you, Sebastian. All right, next up. Casinema Reviews writes, I see what you're saying about The Last Jedi haters not feeling safe, but is it wrong for me being mad that they're partly responsible for no films coming after 9? No, I don't agree. Listen, Lucasfilm doesn't care. Lucasfilm doesn't care, nor should they. Look, I've always said this in the words of a great NFL coach. Coaches that listen to the fans are destined to be sitting with them next week. Now, I'll let you figure out what the meaning of that. But they're true. It's true. It is not their fault. any more than it's like, actually, if you really want to point at anything right now, it's more the Game of Thrones haters that kind of sabotage, but that wasn't really it either. No, Lucasfilm is going to do what Lucasfilm wants to do, as they should. As Marvel should do what they want to do. As Warner Brothers should do what they think is the right thing for them to do. So no. I mean, we like to think we have more power than we do, but we don't, and that's a good thing, in my opinion. So I would disagree, Cinema. I would disagree with that. I think you as a fan, and I can relate, are upset about something being the circumstance, and we do what we all naturally do. We look for somebody to blame for that circumstance, but I think there's a lot of other moving parts involved here. I think there's a lot of moving parts involved, so I wouldn't be mad at any group of people for that personally, but that's just my thought on that. That's just my thought. All right, next one up is Wayne Edwards, who writes, I am black and I get slightly annoyed by the Idris Elba should be James Bond. How about Idris or another person of color portraying 006 or 004? Create an entirely new badass character. There are more creative roads to be traveled. I disagree with you, Wayne, and here's why. Because remember, I've always seen, now listen, I know a lot of James Bond fans, and a lot of James Bond fans have different outlooks on it. But to me, James Bond, this many decades into Bond, is clearly a role that is going to switch. I think to say an Idris Elba can't be Bond is to say that they would never give that title to somebody who isn't white. And I disagree with that. Now, I think there are other characters where that becomes a more substantial debate that we can have, and I think there's some good debate to be had with that. But with the James Bond character, I just don't see it that way. You know, Daniel Craig is going to be done being Bond, and our next Bond is going to be a bit younger than Daniel Craig, and they're going to be the new Bond. Now, whether they outright say Bond, you know, is a title that passes like the 007 designation does, I mean, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But you don't just suddenly say that Idris Elba is this guy, that Daniel Craig was just playing that same guy. But if you're acknowledging in the movie that this is now a different guy, then I don't see any reason why it couldn't be Idris Elba. Again, there's like 100 different moving pieces and smaller questions attached to the bigger question. But that's why the way I see it, I don't really see it being an issue. If you looked at it a different way and saying, no, this is just an ageless wonder. This James Bond dude is just an ageless wonder who really has been a Secret Service agent for 60 years. And he just looks really good as Daniel Craig, and now we need the next actor to play that role. Well, then, yes, I would agree. Idris Elba is not the guy to do it. But if we're saying that we're acknowledging a transition in the person in the role, I don't see why it couldn't be. Idris isn't my first choice either, by the way. He's not. But I wouldn't be opposed to it depending on what their philosophy was. All right, anyway, thanks for sharing your thought. It raises a great set of questions. I'm sure we're going to be debating for a long time. Excellent point, Wayne. All right, Cameron writes, hey, John, happy Thanksgiving from the UK, where it is just a normal Thursday. Well, as a Canadian, Thanksgiving for me technically is actually October, but I got to celebrate with all my American family and friends anyway. Let's see, where's just Thursday? Went to see Marriage Story the other day, and it's definitely my favorite film of the year so far. Listen, it's funny because I want to watch that film. And I went to Netflix the other day thinking it was already on Netflix so I could sit down. I set some time aside so I could sit down and watch it, only to realize it doesn't actually come out on Netflix till December 6th. So we still got to wait till later in the week. So I myself have not seen it yet. I'm going to have to watch it on December 6th when it comes out. But listen, dude, man, you are just the latest testimony. A lot of people are loving this film, Cameron, and talking very highly. There's getting some serious Oscar buzz. Adam Driver is getting Oscar buzz for a Best Lead Actor nomination for it as well. So you are just like the next in line giving positive testimony. It's really good to hear it. So thank you for the recommendation, man. And it just adds to my excitement to finally watch it on the 6th when it comes out. All right. Random dude from Quebec writes, of all the scenarios I can think of, I don't think the Emperor is back or that he's in the flesh. That's why I'm leaving all the expectations at the door. And listen, I think he is back in the flesh, but you know, we've been talking about this on the show the last couple of weeks. A number of people, viewers of the show, have written in and said, you know, John, maybe one of the reasons why they're not showing the Emperor in the trailers is because they need to hide what his appearance is, because that would give away. And if that's true, maybe he's really not in the flesh. Maybe it's a totally different sort of thing. So while I think he will be in the flesh, yeah, there's a lot of real strong possibilities that you could be right. It could be in some sort of other form. As long as it's being voiced by Ian McDiarmid at the minimum, then I'll be okay with it. But we're going to find out in just a couple weeks, man. Just a little over 2 weeks away, and we're going to know all the answers. All right. John Awakens writes, what's your favorite Christmas horror movie? I don't know that I have a favorite Christmas horror movie. I mean, I don't know that I have one. There's one really fun one with Goldberg as Santa Claus, where they pretend Santa Claus is, what if Santa Claus wasn't the sweet, jolly old Saint Nick, but he's actually a demon from hell who gets unleashed every Christmas or something. I can't remember the exact, but I remember having a lot of fun with that one. But generally speaking, I don't have a list of Christmas horror films that are my favorites. Anyway, but thanks for the question, man. All right, Benjamin GL writes, I just wanted to say, I'm 19 and you've been a part of my life since early AMC. Thanks for being hyper logic in the weird emotional world. Also love the politics on Facebook. Enjoy my money. You earned it. Well, thank you so much, Benjamin. And yes, listen, God, then you're like another one. Like if you're 19 now and you've been watching since the AMC days, you were clearly watching like pre-high school. So thank you for being around that long, Benjamin. I appreciate that. Yeah, politics is stuff that, listen, politics are important. Politics are the important issues facing our lives and our world. Politics are important. I think everybody should be involved and interested in politics to one degree or another, because politics isn't politics. Politics is life-changing things for people in our communities, in our families, and in our world. It's important stuff. However, I don't allow politics to be a part of my show because, Michael Jordan once made a quote that, I mean, it was taken badly by some people, but I understood the spirit behind what he was saying. He said, like somebody's asking about his politics and whatever and blah, blah, blah. He goes, listen, because Air Jordans, he was like, Republicans buy shoes too. We all love movies. It doesn't matter if we're politically right or politically left or politically centric or whatever. We all love movies. And there are many, many forums and many, many outlets and many, many venues for all of us to be involved in politics and discuss and debate important issues of our time. Tons of them. But I feel like my show is to be about the thing that we all love. We love the movies and TV and some other things as well. And so I try to keep this a politically free zone. Now, I've also always said that there are certain things that I do not consider to be political issues, but rather basic human rights issues and human decency issues. And I will explore those because I do not consider those to be politics. Human decency isn't politics. So I will bring up some issues of that from time to time, but I don't believe those are right or left or centric issues either. Now, that said, on my personal Facebook page, that's my personal Facebook page. I will discuss politics and express my views and my beliefs of the political spectrum that we have, because I believe we should all have that. And there are going to be people who agree with my politics, and there are going to be people who disagree with my view on politics, and that's all fine. But we do not bring that here, because here, we're all brothers and sisters. Here, we're all brethren in film fandom. That's what we are when we come in this house. When we come in this house, we take our political shoes off at the door, and we all just embrace our mutual love of the movies. And that's what we do, and that's what we're for. And I don't care if you agree with everything that I agree with in politics. And I don't care if you disagree with everything I believe in politics. It don't matter. Because in this house, you're a film fan brother or sister. I want to be your film fan brother. And we can just celebrate and talk and debate movies and the things that we love and the things that we share. So anyway, yeah, that's me. So thank you, Benjamin, for pointing that out. And I appreciate you've been here and been a viewer for so long. So thanks a lot for that, man. I appreciate it. All right. Next up, The New World writes, Hey, John, how are you doing? I'm doing well, New World, thank you. Greetings from Kurdistan. Wow, thanks. I think this is the first message I've gotten from somebody in Kurdistan. My question is, are Batman and Superman still valuable IPs? Also, congrats, dude. You're awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I'm assuming the congrats was for the 200,000 subscriber thing. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. Absolutely. They're still valuable IPs. Listen, when you can just cast, the movie isn't even out yet. This Matt Reeves movie isn't even out yet. And you just cast somebody in it and it dominates the movie news cycle. That tells you if there's value in the IP. You know, even when they cast a secondary character, they cast Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon. That's a secondary character. Boom. That dominated the entire movie news cycle for the day. That dominated it. Let alone when they cast Robert Pattinson. Dear heavens. When that happens, yes, there is still a lot of value. Because the value in entertainment comes from interest. And there is clearly mountains of interest still in the Batman character. The Superman character. The interest in the Superman character, as much as it pains me to say, because you guys know how I feel about Superman, the interest in the Superman character has diminished a bit, and there are several reasons for that, over the past couple of years. But just look at how many people still want to talk about it. So is there still value in Superman as an IP? I would say yes. I would say absolutely yes. But you just got to figure out a way to do it, because, and man, I don't know. I mean, they did Man of Steel. To me, they did Man of Steel perfectly, and it didn't resonate with everybody, and that kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So now you got to kind of retool, rearm, and figure out how you're going to do it. But yes, I do believe that there is still clearly value in both of those things. Anyway, thanks for sending that question, New World. I appreciate it. All right. Marion writes, "Sup, John? Sup, Marion? Been a watcher of the show since your video on Supergirl and how the CW jobs out Superman." Yeah, that's when I got a little emotional over, I got to admit. On Superman, the thing that has always shown me that Batman and Spider-Man are the greatest superheroes is the fact that there is no live-action TV series. Happy Thanksgiving. And you know what, Marion? See, that's the thing. There was a time where WB, not long ago, just recently, where WB was like, okay, we are going to protect our most valuable assets. That's Batman, Superman, whatever else they were going to think about. We are going to protect our most valuable assets, and we are not going to risk doing television shows that may undermine their value or undermine who they as characters are. And we're going to be very protective of these things. Well, then they did the Supergirl thing, and they completely crapped all over Superman in that. And I won't go off on that again. I've well documented how I feel about that particular issue. That said, Warner Brothers has clearly loosened a lot on that, and I don't think that's a good thing. One of the things, if you ever watch Pawn Stars, which I admit I've watched Pawn Stars. I haven't watched it the last couple of years, but I watched Pawn Stars a lot for a while. One of the things you learn from Pawn Stars is that it's not just the quality of something that determines its value. It's also the rarity of something that determines its value. And when something becomes a commodity, like a standard commodity, the value goes down. When there's a baseball card, say a Babe Ruth baseball card, I don't know anything about baseball cards, by the way, but if you had a Babe Ruth baseball card where they made 10 of them, oh my God, and you got one, that thing's incredibly valuable. However, if you got a Babe Ruth baseball card that they printed 200,000 of them, the value goes down. With the Batman character, I believe you protect the value of that character and the worth of that character by not making the character a standard commodity. Now, instead of watching Batman on film every 3 to 4 years, now you get to watch him every week on CW, blah, 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 blah. You know? You devalue by making it a standard commodity. That's what they did to Superman. They devalued Superman by making him a jobber commodity on a secondary show. Not that there's anything wrong with secondary shows, by the way. Some of my favorite shows are secondary shows. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, you devalue Superman, you devalue the asset by turning it into a common commodity instead of protecting it and increasing its value by how rare it is. Once every 2 to 3 to 4 years versus tune in next week for the next episode where Superman gets beat up by a child. Something like that. And so, I mean, that's one of the things that I think Warner Brothers has been really making a mistake lately. And I hope they reverse course on that. That's why, one of the reasons Kevin Feige, when, you had Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. going up, okay, they would let Lady Sif show up. All right, Lady Sif showed up, but she was a secondary, nay, even a third level character. So, okay, Lady Sif can show up. But you weren't going to see Thor on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You weren't going to see Tony Stark on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You weren't going to see Captain America on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Because we're not going to turn, Kevin Feige's not going to turn these incredibly valuable assets into just common commodities. So it is something that I think Warner Brothers has been doing wrong lately. They used to do right, and I hope they get back to that. And just focus more on doing these characters right. Anyway, that's my thought on that, Marion. Thanks for sharing that. All right, let's see. Min Tran writes, just saw Toys That Made Us on Netflix. Great show. Can't wait to see what toy franchise they talk about next. Listen, if you guys have not seen any, now I haven't seen all of them. I've seen a bunch though. If you have not seen any of the Toys That Made Us, my goodness, take Min Tran's advice. They're great. And they do everything from Lego to Star Wars toys. I mean, they cover a lot of ground, and it's unbelievably fascinating. It is unbelievably fascinating stuff, and I highly recommend you check it out because it's a lot of fun. Anyway, thanks, Min, for bringing that up. It's really good to share that with people. All right, Laugh Warehouse writes, congratulations, bro, on the milestone. Again, the 200,000 subscribers. Thank you for that. You deserve it. You're the best. Thank you so much, dude. Feige will appear in an episode of The Simpsons with the Russos next year. Oh, I did not hear that. Is that a guess or is that true? If that's true, that's pretty cool. I did not know that. I had not heard that, but that is great. The Simpsons over the years, over there, God, what is it, 30 years now, have got, when you sit down and look at the long list of special guest voices they've had, it's pretty impressive, and those are pretty good ones to add. So I had not heard that. Thank you for letting me know. If that's true, Laugh Warehouse, thank you for letting me in on that. I appreciate that. All right, Benjamin GL writes, John, you've got a Larry David thing going on. I don't know what you mean by that. Now that's going to haunt because I don't know what you mean by that. Anyway, I'll keep that in mind. Anyway, Suthius writes, Man in High Castle is a good damn show. I'm on season 4 and I started just 2 days ago. There is one aspect of the show you may not like. Hopefully it works for you. That was, somebody brought up Man in the High Castle the other day while we were doing the show. And I mentioned that is a show that for years now I've always wanted to start watching because first of all, it looks great. It looks good. I mean, the show just looks really good to me. I thought that from when the series premiered. But I've just never gotten around to watching it. Just never have. I'm not against watching it. I want to watch it. I've just never really had the chance. So, it keeps going, and I want to see it. So, hopefully, Suthius, I'll get a chance to get on board with that and find out exactly what it is you're referring to about the one aspect that I may not like. We'll wait and see. I'll have to watch, but it is a show I want to get on here pretty quick. All right, Stephen Baker writes, congratulations, John. 200,000. Keep bringing the filthy from the UK. Thank you so much for that, Stephen. And again, we're very happy about it. And again, it's a little thing. It's honestly not important, but I'd be lying if I didn't tell you it felt good, especially considering that the format that I do is not conducive to growing a YouTube channel. Listen, I do everything wrong. If you look at the playbook of how you grow a YouTube channel, I do it all wrong. I do it all wrong. But I do the shows that I would be interested in watching. And then, because if I'm interested in watching this type of show, I got to believe that not everybody, but I got to believe there's some people out there who would want to watch that too. So that's how I've kind of done it. And to hit the milestones that we've hit is yeah, I'm pretty happy about it. I'm pretty happy. It means quite a bit to me. So thanks a lot for that, Stephen. All right, Johnny View writes, John, I've been around since the Man of Steel days. I've seen 55 2019 movies this year already. I'm only the movie fan I am now because of the groundwork that you and others with you have paved. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I'm so proud of you. Oh, dude, thank you so much. And seriously, one of the best things I get to see or read are people saying that, part of their movie fandom or part of or whatever has been influenced by the stuff that me and my friends have done on these shows, whether it's going back to the movie blog days, AMC, all the way up until now. That's really cool. So seriously, Johnny, thank you so much for sharing that. It's really nice when people just want to write in and say something nice. So seriously, man, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. It means a lot to me. Thank you. All right, next up, Static Space Sean writes, what do movie theaters do with their posters when they're done with them? Do they sell them? I've always wanted authentic ones like I see at the theater. Do you know how I can buy those ones or ones like them? Thanks. I remember when I was working at AMC, one day I went into the backstage area, if you will, of the AMC Burbank 16, one of the busiest theaters in North America. And from what I understand, they ship them all back. I think they all get shipped back to where they come from. And I don't think they're allowed to give them away. If I remember correctly, I don't think they're allowed to give them away. Now, they were allowed to give me some of the stuff because technically I was an extension of the marketing for AMC. So me using the materials for marketing purposes was granted. But it's been a lot of years since, if I remember right, and I might not be remembering it right, if I remember it right, they need, when these things, the movies are done and the need for the standees and the posters and all that kind of stuff are done, I believe they either get like incinerated or shipped back to the distributor marketing arms. I think. I could be wrong, but I think that's how I remember. Anyway, if any of you are watching this right now, and you work in the industry and you know what the answer to that is, jump into the comments section and let Static Space Sean know what the answer is. But I think that's what it is. All right. Marie Seifring writes, hey, John, I found your channel in July of 2018. I live too far away to join you on December 17th, but congrats on 200,000 subscribers. Thank you. Thank you to you and the whole crew for providing some joy and some wisdom each day. And thanks to the rest of the community as well. All right. Well, thanks a lot for sharing that. And listen, I should have mentioned this off the top, but for those of you who don't know what Marie is talking about, what's December 17th? Well, for any of you who are in or around the Los Angeles area, on December 17th, we are having a special event. We are calling it, it's a dumb name, An Evening with John Campea, 100 million views of a nobody. This is our celebration. Now, we haven't crossed 100 million views yet, but we think either by or just after December 17th, we will hit that milestone. So we just set the date for December 17th. We're going to have a special live event at the Victory Theater Center in Burbank, California. And you can see there's a URL there where you can go and buy tickets. We've already, in just a couple of days, we've sold over 60% of the tickets, which is awesome. I was kind of half worried that the theater would be empty. So we sold, and it's not a huge theater. We just got an intimate little theater. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be on stage. I got some guests coming. I can tell you right now, Christian Harloff is going to be there. Aaron Cummings is going to be there. Fact checker Jonathan's going to be there. And we're going to be just talking and then get to hang out a little bit, take some pictures, and it's just going to be a nice time. It's not going to be a big blowout party like the AMC 100 million view party was. This is just like an intimate event. I'm going to have a chance to talk, take some Q&A. We'll take some pictures. It should be a fun evening. So if you're in or around the LA area at that time, please do consider coming and joining us. It should be a lot of fun. So anyway, Maria, I know you can't make it, but that's cool. I know you'll be with us in spirit. So it's great to have you. And thanks for being such a contributing member to our community here as well, because you're always so active in the chat boards and everything too. So it's great to have you. Thank you again. All right. Let's see. Next up here. Shriek writes, favorite performance in The Irishman. Also, is that performance Oscar worthy? Easily my favorite. First of all, the performances are great. I have some criticisms of The Irishman, but overall the movie's great and the performances are, forget about it. The performances are crazy good. Joe Pesci still has it. I was wondering a little bit because I thought Joe Pesci might have some rust. I won't lie to you. I thought Pesci might have some rust. Pesci is amazing in this movie. Pacino is fantastic in the movie, but it is Robert De Niro's movie. And I could see Robert, listen, I'm not going to be shocked if he doesn't get an Academy Award nomination, but I totally see him getting an Academy Award nomination. I think he will. If I had to put $2 on it, I would bet that he's going to get a nomination, and I'm all for it. I won't be shocked if he doesn't. It's a tight race this year. It's a very stacked category, but I got it. They were all great. All the performances were fantastic, but De Niro's, it was his movie. His is the standout for sure. All right. Wally Tipped writes, was watching Irishman, paused it an hour in and asked my friends, do y'all understand a thing anybody other than Joe Pesci says? All said, nope. And we were so confused. Scorsese's my favorite director, so I finished it. Good movie, but was disappointed. I don't know. Like, are you saying because of how they spoke, or you just understand? Are you saying you didn't understand what they were talking about because you couldn't understand, like they were mumbling? Or you just understand that you heard the words coming out of their mouth, but you didn't know what it meant? I'm not sure. All I can say, Wally, is that I didn't personally have that experience watching the movie. This movie is too long. It's obscenely too long. It's pretentiously too long. Because this movie did not, that's the thing that makes it pretentiously too long, is that it didn't need to be that length. There are so many scenes in this movie that you could have cut out because they either don't feed the narrative directly or they're establishing information that was already established in other scenes, making that scene redundant. It was obscenely too long. You know, I put out a tweet today saying, this was a movie you easily could have cut 43 minutes out of. Not just 10 minutes, like 43 minutes you could have cut out of this movie easy, and it would have been just as strong. It would have been just as strong, except it would have been better paced. But that's my big nitpick with the movie. 43, 45, 50 extra minutes is not a nitpick, but that's my one problem with the movie. Other than that, I loved it. I really did. I thought it was a fabulous movie. The fabulous performances, real Scorsese getting back to Scorsese filmmaking. It's a special film, but yeah, obscenely too long and pretentiously too long. That's kind of how I felt about it. Anyway, Wally follows up and writes, I still remember seeing Spider-Man pop up in the Civil War trailer in U.S. history class 3 years ago. Still think he was at his best in Civil War, though I do love Homecoming and Far From Home. That scene when Queens pops up and he talks to Tony is amazing. Listen, I still remember, you know, we had a discussion on the show the other day about biggest movie news of the decade. To me, the biggest, I went in the terms of single item movie news. Robert kind of went in terms of trend movie news. But the ones I said Endgame becoming the highest grossing film of all time. And 2 is the Disney purchasing Lucasfilm. I believe those are the 2 biggest pieces of movie news. But somebody else brought up that the first appearance of Spider-Man in the Civil War trailer, And just remembering, that was really special to a lot of people. So you're not alone, Wally, in that feeling on that whatsoever. You are not nearly alone in that feeling whatsoever, my friend. All right, thanks for sharing that, man. All right, Sebastian Gomez writes, just had a triple feature, of Knives Out, Ford v Ferrari, and Jojo Rabbit. Dude, Those are 3 of my top 5 films of the year right there. Those are 3 of my top 5 films of the year right now. Love Knives Out and Ford v Ferrari. And while I like Jojo Rabbit, I didn't love it as I was hoping to. I guess my expectations were too high, and that was one of my most anticipated of the year. Yeah, for me, Jojo Rabbit is still my number 1 film of the year. For me right now, it's Jojo Rabbit at number 1, Parasite at number 2, Knives Out at number 3, The Farewell at number 4, and Ford v Ferrari at number 5. Knives Out came in, when I just saw Knives Out recently, it came into the number 3 spot, and that bumped everything else down, so Joker and Booksmart were knocked out of my top 5. I love those movies. Love those movies, but they're not in my top 5 anymore. But Jojo is still, but that's the thing. All art is subjective. All film is subjective. Just because I loved it the most doesn't mean you're going to have the same reaction to me. And that doesn't mean I'm right and you're wrong or vice versa. It just means, hey, you experienced it. Your experience was unique and different from mine, and that was yours. That's what it is. But anyway, I'm glad you at least enjoyed it, and I'm glad you like Knives Out is fan-frickin-tastic. God, I expected it to be good. I wasn't prepared for how good it was, so I was really excited for that. So anyway, thanks for sharing that. That was a good triple feature, man. That is a really quality triple feature. Okay, Dumbledore Calrissian, what a great name, writes, Old Navy, Target, Walmart, Geico, Coke Zero, St. Jude's, Old Navy again, the Game Awards, Sprite. These are all ads that played after the start time of my 7:15 showing of Knives Out. Then we had trailers. Movie started at 7:41. This has been, Dumbledore brings up what has been an ongoing issue and discussion we've been having around here lately, which is the unacceptable amount of time that they play ads and trailers. And let's face it, trailers are ads. Trailers are commercials. It's just that their product isn't Coke Zero. Their product is a movie that's coming out. Still, I think trailers are part of the movie-going experience, but there's comes a point when it's too much. I won't go on the full rant again, but just the highlights here. We're not seeing this movie for free, where you get to show us 30 minutes of trailers and 30 minutes of advertisements. We're paying to come into this theater. We're paying to be here. I paid for that seat, and I believe there should be a law. I'm not using hyperbole here. I'm not being facetious. I honestly believe there should be a law that says theater should actually advertise the actual time the movie starts. Now, if you want to put up 2 times and say showtime is at 7, movie begins at 7:26, I'm fine with that too. I just feel as a paying customer, you should tell me what time the movie starts so I can know when I actually need to be in my seat by. Because I've gotten some messages recently from some people saying, I went to a movie because we have pre-assigned seating now, so I knew I didn't have to be there for the trailers, and I showed up 20 minutes after showtime. Usually there's still more trailers and commercials after that, but I actually missed the first 3 or 4 minutes of the movie. So they're keeping you guessing to try to trick you and force you into coming early to sit through the trailers and commercials in a movie that you paid to be there to watch. There should be a law that says either just advertise the actual time the movie starts or give us 2 times. Showtime starts at 7, movie begins at 7:25. And then start the damn movie at 7:25. I'm okay with that, but that should definitely happen. Dumbledore also writes, that said, holy crap, Knives Out is awesome. I was floored by it. Loved it. It's just such a throwback to the great classic whodunit movie. You know what I mean? I loved it. I'm thinking it may be my favorite movie of the year thus far. Most fun I've had in the theater in a while. And again, it's in my top 5 for sure. We're going to talk about this a little bit more on the John Campea Show tomorrow on Monday. I'm totally down for them to turning this into a film franchise. Totally built around Daniel Craig's Inspector character. I'm totally down for that. Anyway, let's see. Where are we at here? We're at Glenn Mac S. Pack, who writes, Hello from New Zealand. Well, thank you so much, Glenn. Congrats, John, with your 200,000 subscribers, 100 million views milestones. Don't know how I found your show last year, but I got hooked ever since. All the best to the team, Rob, Chris, Aaron, Ray, John, and Kumustaka to Anne. That's Tagalog, by the way. Hope Star Wars Saga end is satisfying. Well, first of all, Glenn, thank you so much, and thank you for being a part, and thank you for the well wishes. I appreciate that. And listen, all we can do now, look, the movie's done. It's wrapped. It's in the can. All we can do now is sit and wait for a couple more weeks and hope for the best. I mean, look, I'm obviously going into Star Wars very hopeful and very optimistic, but let's not pretend that I like everything with the label Star Wars on it. I clearly don't. Look, I am a diehard, will for all of my life be a diehard Toronto Maple Leafs fan. That doesn't mean I have liked everything the Toronto Maple Leafs do. Of course not. But that does not change the fact that I will cheer for them every step of the way. I have not liked everything that is Star Wars related. Clone Wars, Clone Wars is clear. I have some things that I like more than Clone Wars. I'm talking about the movie Clone Wars, which I thought was abysmal. I'm not a big fan of the Clone Wars TV series. I like Rebels, but it had hit and miss episodes as well. I like all the movies that have come out in the Disney era, but you know, I like The Last Jedi. I like it, but it's just my least favorite of the new era of films. I did not like the prequels. I mean, so you know, it's hit and miss. You know, I obviously the original Star Wars trilogy is my favorite films of all time. I really I love The Force Awakens and I love Rogue One. I enjoyed Solo very much as a good sci-fi adventure film. I enjoyed that a lot. I enjoyed The Last Jedi, but I had my issues with it. So going into The Rise of Skywalker, I'm going in hopeful. I'm going in optimistic. But who knows? I mean, look, it could be the worst film ever made. We just won't know till we see it. So all we can do now is sit and wait. And as you said in your last line there, Glenn, hope Star Wars Saga end is satisfying. That's all we got at this point. And then we'll go on from there. We'll see what happens after that. But just a couple weeks away now, my friend. Just a couple weeks away. All right. Next up. Ken Boraboon Tanawat writes, Boraboon Tanawat, I hope I'm saying that right. Hey, John, big fan. Oh, from Bangkok. Hey, thanks, man. Big fan from Bangkok, Thailand. I was pretty excited when you announced that this new tipping system, since Super Chat is not yet available here. Been watching you since AMC. Thank you very much, and say hi to everyone for me. Well, thank you so much for that, Ken. I really appreciate that. Yeah, so we recently made a little bit of a change where it used to be that the only way you could support the channel was if you could use Super Chat. Now, I mean, if you wanted to support the channel financially, that is if you use Super Chat. Unfortunately, there are many, many countries around the world where people watch the John Campea Show where Super Chat wasn't available to them. Also, and I don't blame YouTube for this because, hey, they supply all the back end. I understand, but YouTube keeps 1/3 of all the revenue from Super Chats. So people can still use Super Chat on the channel if they want to support the channel that way. But if you look for those of you who may not know this, if you look in the very first line of the description of this video, you'll see that there's a link to a tip page where you can submit a tip. And when you submit the tip, you can put in a question for the show. And YouTube doesn't take 1/3 of that. That's a big thing. And it's available to almost every country in the world. So it's been really adopted very quickly by the viewers of the show, which I'm very grateful for. So I'm glad you're able to do that. And thank you for, listen, just because it's there doesn't mean you're obligated to use it. So Ken, the fact that you did and you wanted to support the show, I appreciate that very, very much. And thank you for being around since the AMC days. And they're not here right now, but I'm sure the rest of the team would say thank you as well. So good to have you here, man. And thanks for writing that in. I appreciate that. All right. Neurostrike writes, I'm done looking at the timestamps for The Mandalorian. In Favreau, I trust. This is the way, I said after watching the first episode of Mandalorian that I was thrown off when it suddenly ended. I expected it to be an hour. But like we say with, I say this about movies all the time, there is no one right runtime for these movies. There's just not. There's no one correct runtime for these movies. For a movie, each individual movie has a runtime that is right for that specific movie. For some movies, 3 hours is too short. For some movies, 100 minutes is too long. And they can both be equally great, but just each movie has its own DNA. And I believe that about television shows as well. I was like a lot of other people. I was thrown off at first by the short runtime of the episodes. But you know what? I'm now getting the flow of what it is Favreau's going for. And I gotta say, it is working. The run times for these episodes is working perfectly for these episodes. And it's working for me. And I love it. And listen, I loved episode 4, Sanctuary. By the way, Sanctuary is going to be one of the topics for the John Campea Show we're covering tomorrow. And I'm really looking forward to talking about it because I got some things I'm going to say about it. But anyway, there's that. So I'm absolutely with you, Neuro Strike, that it's I've come around. I am totally on board with the runtime for these episodes. Look, if they throw in an episode that's an hour and a half long, great. Then I'm just going to assume that Favreau needed that episode to be an hour and a half long. If it doesn't need to be longer than 40 minutes, then don't make it longer than 40 minutes. So I'm totally with you on that. All right. Harry Mudd writes, where do we go? There he is. Harry Mudd writes, there's a movie called Marriage Story. We were just talking about that a little bit earlier. That will be dropping on Netflix the 6th of December. Heard good things about it. We'll definitely be checking it out. Yeah, and we were talking about this one a little bit earlier, Harry. It's getting tons of awards consideration. A lot of the prognosticators are saying it very well could get a Best Picture nomination. They're also saying that Adam Driver could very well get a Best Lead Actor nomination. Scarlett Johansson could get a Best Actress nomination. I mean, this is a movie that could get a lot of awards attention. I haven't seen it yet myself. I'm with you. I'm going to see it on December 6th. But I'm definitely looking forward to it, getting a lot of good attention. All right. Capri Grant writes, a couple of years back, I remember the Russos said they were trying to make Thanos the Vader of my generation. With all of his appearances and his lurking presence throughout the MCU considered, does Thanos meet that standard, or do we have to wait and see? Well, listen, Capri. Capri made this, as you guys can see, made that a $50 thing. For those of you who do not know, if you have a question and you either use Super Chat or the tip page to submit one for $50 or more, not only will I answer your question, I'm going to answer it in its own video. And as a matter of fact, I already answered this video, Capri. If you look right now on the front page of my YouTube channel under the user submitted topics playlist, you're going to see your question. I made it its own video. So I'll give you, here's the quick Coles notes on that. I believe Thanos is the new Vader of the current generation. And by generation, I mean as of right now. But is he the new Vader overall? Too early to tell. Vader has been a prominent, the most iconic movie villain for 4 decades. Thanos has really been around since 2018's Infinity War. I mean, but John, he was actually had an appearance in the first Avengers movie in the post. I understand that, but he didn't. That wasn't anything. He really showed up in 2018. It's 2019. Let's see if Thanos is still this really celebrated figure 20 years from now. I'm not saying he will be, and I'm not saying he won't be, but anyway, I go into it a lot more in depth in the standalone video, Capri, so you can go and see that there. And thank you, dude, for supporting the channel on that level. I deeply appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy the video that I made for you there. All right. Anonymous writes, all jokes aside, these Arrow flash forwards are the worst thing to happen during the series. I agree. Listen, we've talked about that a lot on this show. And, I've been on and off of Arrow. The first 2.5 seasons, I call myself an Arrow evangelist. I was an evangelist for that show, Arrow. I loved Arrow. About midway through season 3, the wheels came off. Stephen Amell continued to be great, but the writers lost their marbles as far as I was concerned. And I gave up on the show. Now, I've got back on it to keep watching, and I've watched all the episodes, and it's been an up and down ride. What really sucks is I feel like the show right now is actually pretty good. I feel like the show is actually quite good. Except for Oliver's stupid kids. And they start now, I understand they had to stop doing the flashbacks because they ran out of time. They've literally already flashed back the 5 years that the show has been running for. They needed something different. And they decided to do this flash forward thing, which is the worst decision they've made on the show since the Captain Buckles fiasco. And for those of you who've been following for a period of time, you know what the Captain Buckles fiasco is. Anyway, yeah, they've been terrible, Anonymous. They've been terrible, which is really a shame because I think the show's actually been quite strong outside of Oliver's stupid kids. But that's just me. All right. The Dark Jedi Knight writes, went to a con and commended someone on their Doctor Strange cosplay. They said thanks and asked me about my fandom, to which I replied Star Wars, X-Men, and DC. They responded with, ouch, I'm sorry. F you. Yes, I know DCU started off poorly, but I'm on a roll now, and in my opinion, future is much better than the MCU's future. Well, listen, here's the thing, Jedi. First of all, F that guy for saying that. Unless he was meant it in fun. Like me, when I'm talking to a friend of mine who's a Montreal Canadiens fan, I'm like, ooh. Like I'll say, hey, so what team do you follow? Montreal Canadiens. Oh, how long have you had that problem? But that's in fun. That's in fun. I'm just glad they're hockey fans. I'm hockey and we poke each other. But that's in fun. Hopefully, when he said that to you, he meant it in fun. Because listen, there are a lot of people who like the DCU movies. I like the DCU movies. Don't like that? Tough. I like the DCU movies. Now, do I think the MCU movies have been better overall? Yes. Overall, I believe the MCU has been stronger. But I've still gotten a lot of entertainment, Man of Steel especially, but Man of Steel, Shazam, I thought Wonder Woman was really great. I really got a big kick out of Aquaman. Listen, I like the DCU movies. I do not believe that the DCU future is better than the MCU's future. I believe that the DCU is just getting stronger right now, and it can't even call the DCU right anymore. Just that DC movies, whether they're in the DCEU or not, I feel like DC as a brand of movies are getting stronger right now under Walter Hamada's leadership. I think there's good days ahead. I think there's some really exciting times ahead. I don't necessarily think they're better times ahead than MCU, and I don't think they're necessarily worse. The thing is, I think people need to first and foremost be comic book genre fans, and then subspecies second. Like, you want to be an MCU fan? Fine, but be a comic book fan first. I don't know. Look, that's starting to sound obnoxious, like I'm trying to tell people what they should or should not like, and I shouldn't do that. So I didn't mean for it to come across that way. But I don't think it needs to be one or the other. I just like comic book movies, man. I like some MCU stuff. I like some DC stuff. It's all good. And there's some crappy stuff on both sides as well. But yeah, I don't think it has to be picking one's going to be better than the other. I just don't personally see it that way. But anyway, I hope you had a good time at the con, man, whichever way it is. All right, let's move on here. Captain Confidence writes, I paid to change my flight solely to attend the 200,000 party. Oh, thank you so much. It's technically a 100 million view party, but we're also celebrating the 200,000. That's awesome, man. I'm glad you're coming. Bringing my buddy Steve, who you met at a Dr. Sleep Fandango screening. There's a mosquito in here that's flying around, and it's driving me crazy. Me doing this swatting is now going to become a GIF, whatever you want to say. Eager to meet Rob and Aaron as well as other LA-based fans. Could always use more movie-watching buddies to discuss with. Dude, that is awesome. We got people coming in from all over the place coming into this party. Dude, seriously, thank you for coming. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it a lot, and I am honored that you would change your plans around to be there for it. So thank you very much, and I will see you on December 17th, my friend, and I'm glad your buddy's coming too. All right, thanks for that, man. All right, Zayn writes, just saw The Irishman, and I liked it very, very much. The second half of the movie is what made the movie great for me. And when it came to old De Niro and Pesci, it was emotional and felt bad for De Niro. Who do you think deserves the nomination for Oscar among them? Well, we already kind of covered that. They were all brilliant. It is Robert De Niro's movie. It's Robert De Niro's movie. He is The Irishman. The movie's called The Irishman. He is The Irishman. It's told from his perspective. He is the narrator. It all centers around him. So I'll tell you what. I don't think Joe Pesci's going to get a Best Supporting Actor nomination. I don't think he will. But if he did, you won't hear me complain. Pesci was fantastic in it. Al Pacino was fantastic in it as Jimmy Hoffa. He was great. The whole cast is dynamic. I mean, just seeing these legends on screen in like a true to the core Martin Scorsese kind of movie just really felt good. Again, I thought it was pretentiously too long, overly self-indulgently too long. That aside, God, there's good stuff in there, and the performances are right up there. So if I had to pick one guy, I'm saying De Niro because it really is his movie, and he was stupid strong. But they all were. They totally all were. All right, thanks for saying that in, man. All right, Call of Duty writes, hey, John, I have JoJo number 2 and Endgame number 1, and these two movies really gave me a great and wonderful time, and that's why I love the movie-going experience. But this little gem of a movie called Knives Out, wow, my number 1 this year by far. So much fun. From Rian Johnson, got my respect back from me after watching Knives Out, and the acting from Daniel Craig and the main character, no spoilers, were amazing, and the rest of the cast was amazing. I can't say enough how much fun the movie-going experience is. Well, thanks to them. And by the way, Call of Duty, thank you for supporting the channel. I mean, you support the channel amazingly. Thank you so much for your generosity. You didn't ask a question, so I didn't make standalone videos for yours because you didn't actually have a question to ask. But listen, let's talk about Knives Out. I know we talked about Knives Out a minute ago, Call of Duty, but I still personally have Jojo Rabbit as my number 1 movie of the year. But you got to understand, like, I was excited about the notion of Knives Out, an Agatha Christie inspired style of whodunit movie. We haven't had one of those in a while. Kenneth Branagh, who I adore, I worship him as a director. He did Murder on the Orient Express a couple years ago. I was really excited by that movie, and I was disappointed by it. I was so excited for it. I'll be frank. I didn't think it was terrible, but I'll be frank with you. I was a little bit disappointed by it. So I was really excited to see this movie, and it exceeded my expectations. Again, not my number 1 movie of the year, but I just walked out like hyped up because I just couldn't believe how much I enjoyed it. And they really stayed true. You know, they said this is going to be an Agatha Christie inspired style kind of whodunit movie, and they totally didn't break away from that. And I'm sure they could have had the temptation to also make it action and also make it really ha-ha comedy if they wanted to, and they never did. They kept it really within the genre that it was. It was so entertaining. The performances were great. I mean, God, man, I just adored this movie. Absolutely adored it. And look, I don't know if it's going to get a Best Picture nomination. I don't suspect Rian Johnson will get a Best Director nomination. There's only 5 spots, and there's just too many other big major leading frontrunners for that. But listen, again, like I'm using the phrase I won't complain a lot. If Knives Out, I would be totally thrilled if it got a Best Picture nomination. And I will not complain if, again, I don't expect Rian Johnson will get a Best Director nomination. I don't. I'll be surprised if he does. But if he does, and I'm surprised, I will be pleasantly surprised, because I thought what he did with this movie was incredible, thoroughly enjoyable. And again, listen, it's not for everybody. Because if the idea of a whodunit kind of movie bores you, you might want to take a pass on it. You might want to take a pass on Knives Out. But, you know, somebody was mentioning to me earlier, or I overheard somebody mentioned in a chat, hey guys, get over the Rian. Like if you're one of the people who didn't like Last Jedi, get over it and go see Knives Out. It is truly phenomenal work. So, but again, it's not for everybody. If you're not into the whole whodunit thing, it might not be your cup of tea, and that's totally cool. But if you think you might be interested in that sort of a movie, God, check this one out. Anyway, Call of Duty God, thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you for your generosity in supporting the channel, man. I really appreciate that, and let's see how it does when award season comes around, because I'm really excited. By the way, they exceeded the positive word of mouth, and all the positive reviews made it exceed its opening weekend box office forecast, which is great. It made like over 27 million for a little film like this. Totally exceeded what they were projecting for it. And we're going to talk about that on the John Campea Show tomorrow a little bit as well. Anyway, again, man, thanks a lot for sharing that. I appreciate that. All right. Next up, Jonah writes, my mind got blown away as I found out that David Hasselhoff played Nick Fury. Yes, he did. Played Nick Fury. He was the first one to play Nick Fury. Played Nick Fury in a 1998 TV film. Have you seen it? Is it any good? I saw it once, like forever ago. Is it any good? No. And, I just said he was first. I'm thinking somebody else played him too before that. I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, yes, David Hasselhoff played Nick Fury. Long before Samuel L. Jackson did, David Hasselhoff, and I believe the name of the movie was Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think that was the name of it. Anyway, I remember I saw it once almost 2 decades ago. I don't remember it being very good, to be honest. I do not remember it being very good. I remember, like I said, it was a long time ago, but I don't remember it being very well. But that's a good little piece of trivia, Jonah. That's a good little piece of trivia to have on hand. All right. Karen S. writes, hey, John and crew. Jojo Rabbit was not released in my town. That sucks. So sad. I really wanted to see it. Will the movie play as well on the small screen as on the big screen? I think so. I think a lot of movies do. But, Jojo Rabbit is not a movie like Braveheart, where it's like the sweeping visuals, It's not a movie like, Man of Steel with this huge, larger-than-life action, or Endgame, or... Now, still, the best way to experience movies is the big screen. But a movie like Jojo Rabbit, it's much smaller, even though it happens in this big, encompassing global event of World War II and all that kind of stuff. It's a much more intimate film, and much like The Irishman. The Irishman is a very intimate kind of film, and it works perfectly great just on the small screen. So I do think it will translate very well once you get a chance to see it on your television at home. But keep your eyes open, because as we get into award season, they may do a re-release and a bigger push for it, because there is going to be a lot of Oscar buzz for this movie. So keep your eyes open in your local theaters, see if it does pop up. But if you have to wait till it plays on your television, I think you'll be good. I think you'll be good there. Anyway, thanks for sharing that, Karen, and I hope you get a chance to see it really soon. All right. Darth Hideous, I like that name, writes, is it just me, or does this year feel especially backloaded with great movies? Dude, it's crazy. Not that I didn't love some from earlier in the year, but it seems like almost every movie I've seen in the past month I've loved, and December seems to have a lot to offer. It happens almost every year. But I do got to say, this year particularly, look, that's why every year when we hit June or July, and there's a strong movie on, people say, hey, John, this movie was great. Do you think it's going to get a Best Picture nomination? Or, it's April and someone's saying, wow, John, this person totally deserves an Oscar nomination for this role. And that's why I always say in those months, yes, I agree that person was great or whatever, but it's way too early. Because maybe there's not a ton of movies with sexy names like Avengers or Star Wars or whatever coming out, but a lot of these studios put their the movies they believe are some of their best work, that they believe is going to get a lot of Oscar attention, they put those towards the end of the year. Because let's face it, a lot of these best films of the year, like a Jojo Rabbit, like a Parasite, like Knives Out, these are the best films of the year, but they're not movies that are going to get $120 million opening weekends, right? So they put them all near the end of the year, closer to when award season is coming out, so they can benefit from the public attention of the fact that these films are going to get Oscar buzz, and hopefully that helps drive their revenue up a little bit. And it totally works. It still doesn't turn them into billion-dollar films or anything, but they make more money now than they would have if they were released in other times of the year. But it is very much by design, Darth. It is very much by design. And you're not wrong, man. I mean, it's something they do every year, but this year does feel particularly strong. I feel like I've watched, somebody just wrote in and said they did that triple header. What was it? Jojo Rabbit, Ford v Ferrari, and Knives Out. That's 3 of my top 5 favorite movies of the year, and you got to go see them in a triple header in theater. Just like, it really is a very, very strong time of the year, and that's why I get always excited for Oscar season, and why I keep telling people when it's April, May, June, July, it's like, guys, just pump the brakes on Oscar talk about movies that are coming out right now, because a lot of the heavy hitters, as far as award stuff comes, a lot of these heavy hitters are coming later in the year. And it's something we're going to have to keep our eyes on as the pattern as we move forward. All right. Next up, we just got time for a couple more here, guys. This one comes to us from Suthius, who writes, "Hey, guys. Have you seen some of the marketing for Jumanji 2? Most recent piece was a short clip called A Very Jumanji Thanksgiving, where the 4 main cast have a dysfunctional Thanksgiving dinner, and it's hilarious. Can't wait to see them again in the movie." I have not seen that, but I've heard of it. But I haven't watched it. Jumanji 2 is an interesting thing because I loved the first Jumanji. And yes, he said, when I'm talking about the first Jumanji, I'm talking about the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson one. I'm not talking about the original Robin Williams. I love that movie. And then the first trailer came out, and frankly, I wasn't all that impressed by it. I didn't dislike it, but it's like, this trailer doesn't do anything for me. And I was disappointed. I'm like, wow, okay. It's just a trailer. That doesn't mean the movie's not going to be awesome, but I was looking forward to seeing the first trailer for Jumanji, and it came out. I'm like, eh. Then the second and third spots that I saw totally turned that around. Love the second trailer. And I've liked everything I've seen from this movie since. And I'm very excited for Jumanji 2. Or what are they calling it now? Jumanji Next Level? I think that's... I keep forgetting. I just keep calling it Jumanji 2 in my head. But whatever. Jumanji The Next Level, I think is what it's called. So stoked for it. So excited. But I haven't seen that one particular spot, Suthius, but I'm going to keep my eye open for it, and I'll check that out. All right. Taylor Guerin writes, "Hey, Gio." Hello, Taylor. "Obtained 100% on Jedi Fallen Order with all the achievements." Holy crap. That well done. Spoiler. Oops. Listen, guys, and Taylor, I know you didn't mean anything by it, but what's the point in saying spoiler and then just writing what the spoiler is anyway? Guys, you gotta think. I totally appreciate, Taylor, that you're excited and all that kind of stuff, but you just spoiled something significant and saying spoiler, that doesn't fix it. And I know that totally probably wasn't your intention, brother. I know it totally, but guys, please, everybody, can you think? You need to think a little bit, because while I just kind of like, and by the way, I try very hard not to read the questions before I do these shows, because I want you guys to get my reactions off the cuff as if we were doing the show live. And I want to give you my initial impressions, my initial reactions, so I don't read these questions in advance. I'll scroll through to see if there's any of those $50 ones, because I need to go and make standalone videos of those. But guys, you please be careful. Please be careful and be cautious, and use a little bit of them smarts that you've got. You got them smarts. You got the smarts. Use the smarts. So anyway, just a little warning for it. But listen, Taylor, again, I appreciate that you wanted to send something in, and you're trying to be supportive, and I know you're but I've seen a lot of people do it. Say, "Hey guys, so spoiler, but did you know that Luke is Vader's son?" It's like, what's the point? Do you think that fixes it? Saying, "Hey guys, spoiler, but blah blah." When you're writing it in, it doesn't fix it. So guys, please be careful about that. Anyway, we move on. Lessons learned. All right. Mitchell Pereira writes, "Adding to your biggest movie news stories of the decade, not the biggest, but one of the biggest was Kevin Feige announcing Phase 3 in 2014. It started a conversation that didn't end until the release of Endgame." That's not a bad pick. That's not a bad one, actually. That's pretty good. Yeah, and I was there. I was there at the El Capitan Theater right in Hollywood when I was in the audience as they made those announcements. And you know what? That was pretty big. Again, I wouldn't put it in the top 5, but that's a good one. That's a really, really good one, because you're right. It kicked off a conversation. It set a lot of things up. That's when they revealed it was Civil War, because I believe up until that point, what they had been releasing or talking about was Captain America, the Serpent Society. And then they had that logo up. He goes, but guys, that's not really what this movie is. This is what the movie is. And then the logo, Captain America, Civil War, and the audience, including me, went nutty crazy. Just went absolutely nutty crazy. It was a great time. So you're right, Mitchell. That's actually a really good pick, man. I like that. All right. Suthius writes, hey guys, I was doing some research on Friends and amazed at how much the main cast makes from royalties. Apparently, the franchise makes $1 billion for Warner Brothers through various deals and merchandising. The cast themselves got around $20 million each a year. Wow. Well, listen, I was saying the other day that we were talking about the Friends cast because they're going to be doing some kind of a Friends reunion special, but it's going to be an unscripted thing. It's not going to be like the show Friends. It's going to be all the cast getting together to do something. They didn't give a lot of details. Anyway, we were talking about each individual member, and the guy who played, what are the names of the characters? There's Ross, Rachel, Phoebe. I'm forgetting. Anyway, one of the actors, not Ross, and it's the one who marries the Courtney Cox character. All right, that one. I remember seeing, and we talked about this on the show the other day, this interview with him where he was talking about how, he doesn't even really need to work anymore just because of the royalties he makes off of Friends. They make a lot of money just off of doing nothing now because of the royalties. The Friends just keeps generating money for them. It is kind of crazy. Now, I didn't hear that they each got $20 million a year. I didn't hear that, but I wouldn't be surprised, Suthius. I wouldn't be surprised if that was accurate. We'll wait and see, but again, that's not what I heard, but we will wait and see. All right, next up, Mr. TJ Lynn, who sent in one of the $50 chats, and I made a standalone video of this one, but we'll cover it here quick. I love Nick Cage. Back in the mid-90s, early 2000s, me and friends always got excited when his new movie is coming. The past 10 years, he mostly appeared in smaller productions. Do you think we can see him rising to prominence a la Keanu Reeves, and what does it take? So, as I was saying, TJ, I did do a standalone video of this. You can find it under the user-submitted topics playlist on the front page of the YouTube channel, and I did your own video for this, so thank you for sending it in. Quickly, I'll just say this. It's totally possible, but the difference between the Keanu Reeves situation and the Nick Cage is, while Keanu Reeves kind of disappeared a couple of times and then resurfaced a few times, Nicolas Cage, he never had that negative stigma attached to him that fairly or unfairly that Nicolas Cage seems to have kind of attached to him right now. So I will say this. It's possible, and I would love to see a Nick Cage resurgence, but I don't know that it's going to happen. I hope it does. Fingers crossed, but I don't know. But I go into it in much more depth in your standalone video, so you can go check that out there. All right. Mr. TJ Lynn also writes, I'm visiting from San Francisco this December from my country, and if I had known earlier you were going to throw a party in LA, I would have arranged a small detour in my itinerary. Nevertheless, congratulations on the achievement. You have a blast. You effing deserve it. Well, thank you so much, TJ Lynn. And listen, San Francisco is not very close to LA, so it would have been even if you wanted to do it, it would have been a very, very significant detour. Because I think it's like 6 or 7 hour drive away. So don't worry about it at all. I know, Mr. TJ Lynn, that you will be there in spirit. So have a fabulous time in San Francisco. I really like that city. Have a fabulous time there. And thank you for the well wishes. I appreciate it. And I hope you have a great, fun, and safe trip, my friend. All right. Anonymous writes, top 5 guilty pleasure films. Doom with The Rock. Woo! Yeah, that's guilty pleasure. Guilty. I've got my guilty pleasures too. That's a good one. All right, Green Lantern. By the way, I don't think Green Lantern is garbage. Roadhouse. Okay, let's be clear here. Roadhouse is not a guilty pleasure movie. Roadhouse is an awesome movie, and everybody knows it. So that's not guilty pleasure. Jingle All the Way. And The Notebook is a totally beloved film, not a guilty pleasure. But Doom and Green Lantern, those ones totally. And I don't hate Green Lantern. But Doom and Green Lantern, Definitely ones that fall into the guilty pleasure category. So those are some good ones, Anonymous. All right, just 2 more here, guys, and we're going to wrap it up here today. Murray Reich writes, last week's episode of South Park, they poked fun at Tom Brady and Star Wars Fallen Order game. Listen, if there's a documentary, I can't remember what it's called, but that basically chronicles how Matt and Trey put an episode and how fast they put an episode of South Park together. It's nuts. They like make a show in a week. Okay, we're going to do this, right? Blah, 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 deliver, done. Like, it is crazy how fast they're able to get something so socially relevant made and shipped out. Now, I'm sure the animation style has a lot to do with it, but it is crazy. If you get it, I don't know what it's called, but if you can find whatever that little documentary is, it's fascinating to see and how quickly they turn these shows out. It is nuts. But I have not seen this one yet, Murray, and I'm going to have to keep my eye open for it. All right. Kevin Laniel writes, and this will be our last question of the day, guys, and then ketchup on eggs. Yours will be the first question asked on the John Campea Show tomorrow morning. So keep your eyes open for that. We'll get to that tomorrow morning. All right. Kevin Laniel writes, the craziest thing happened at Gouzeau in Montreal, Quebec. Frozen 2 was scheduled to start at 1 p.m. Trailers started at 12:55. Movie started at 1 p.m. Had to pinch myself. See, that's the way it should be. This is the way. That is the way it should be. You tell me movie starts at 2? You want to play commercials and trailers? Great. Start them at 1:45. If you tell me a movie starts at 2, and I say, okay, I'll give you $15, then you start the damn movie at 2. Or at least tell me when you do start the movie. That's amazing, Kevin. You're right. First of all, they're doing it right up there in Quebec, and I love Montreal. I've gone there a few times. Love to go into the old quarter, the streets or the cobblestone streets with the brick in the street. Gorgeous. I love Montreal. Anyway. That is the way they do it. That's the way they should do it. And I'm glad that you had that experience, Kevin. But again, like if you were like a lot of film fans right now, you go, oh, okay, movie starts, what did you say, 1 o'clock? Okay, I can walk in at 1:15 and they're still showing trailers. If you did that, you would have missed the first 15 minutes of the movie. See, that they got to tell you when the movie starts. That's key. Anyway, thanks for sending that in, Kevin. And again, ketchup on eggs. Yours is going to be the first question that we cover on the John Campea Show tomorrow. So make sure you tune in then. All right, guys. That'll do it for this installment of a elongated companion video, getting caught up on a lot of the questions that we didn't get to cover before and some of the ones that got sent in over the weekend. I hope you guys had a good time, as much of a good time as I had talking about it. I love it getting together and talking about movies. This is the greatest thing in the world. Anyway, guys, don't forget the John Campea Show tomorrow. Me and Robert Meyer Burnett, we've already got a lot of things lined up that we're going to be talking about tomorrow. Very excited for it. I hope to see you guys there. Anyway, guys, that will do it for me for now. Thanks a lot for being here. My name is John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.